Mordecai. So Esther begs the king to save the Jews because they have done nothing to harm the king or the people of Persia. The only sin they've committed is the sin of being outsiders in the land. To put this story in a nutshell, the king listens to Esther. The mean, nasty Haman is executed, and the Jewish people are saved from annihilation. In the end, it's Esther's faith and courage to risk it all that keeps her people alive. Imagine how difficult it must have been for Esther to declare herself to be an outsider, a member of a group of people that were targets for hatred and prejudice. Boundaries had been drawn inside the territory, and Jewish people were left standing on the wrong side of the boundary. There's a story about a small rural church that had a major dispute about where the pies should be placed in the kitchen before serving them for the annual turkey dinner. One woman actually left the church community because several new members to the church had convinced the rest of the women working in the kitchen that it would be more efficient to put the pies on the counter beside the sink instead of the counter next to the refrigerator. It must have been a huge deal. I don't know. It's not right that way to do it, she said. We've never done it that way before. How many times have I heard that? And I'm not going to be part of doing it that way now. I won't have any part of that kind of thing. These new people are going to ruin this church. They don't know anything. They aren't from around here. Our friendly disciples are at it again. Over the past few weeks, we've been hearing about these guys who just can't seem to get anything through their thick heads. They're something like we are from time to time. Anyway, disciple John came up to Jesus one day and said, "Jesus, I was out walking down the road with the rest of the disciples, and we saw someone casting out demons in your name. We tried to stop him, but we don't know who he is. We tried to stop him because he's not one of us." Well, that just about did it as far as Jesus was concerned. Once again, we're confronted with an outspoken, straight-talking Jesus. There aren't any gentle lambs or sheep grazing in this story. Jesus isn't speaking words of comfort and mercy. He's not the gentle, sweet Jesus we like to hear from. Indeed, once again, we're confronted with a Jesus who is about to use some very harsh language in order to get the disciples and us straight. Once again, Jesus had to remind his disciples and us that God's boundaries are not our boundaries. God does not limit love and acceptance to just one or a few people or groups of people. Jesus has come to tell us over and over again, because we need to hear it over and over again, that God's grace is for all people, no matter whether they are one of us or not. United Church of Christ pastor and writer Cheryl Lindsay offers this observation. Imagine objecting to someone becoming free because their breakthrough came without your permission. Imagine deciding to put a condition of reducing childhood hunger by attaching indiscriminate requirements on parents. Imagine asking for proof of income before distributing a bag of groceries to the food insecure. Imagine limiting leadership positions in your faith community to a small group of people that you determine to be acceptable. In today's gospel lesson, Jesus tells us all in a big way just what sort of fate waits for us if we attempt to put human limits on God's love and mercy. It's better, Jesus tells us, if we cripple and maim ourselves than to exclude someone from our inner circle just because they may not suit us in one way or another. The words Jesus says seem to be extremely harsh to our ears. Imagine going around with eye patches and wrapped stumps. This is nightmare material, and Jesus knew it. He needed to get our attention, to wake us up, so that we might just pay attention to the way we behave to those who exist outside our human-made boundaries. For all of us who dare to declare ourselves to be Christ's followers, we are called upon by Christ to not participate in anything that diminishes the soul of another human being. Followers of Christ cannot stand by while anyone is called names or talked down to or cast out, because all those things wound the soul, perhaps even kill it. And it would be better for us to chop off pieces of our own bodies than to let that happen to us or to anyone else. Today's gospel lesson concludes with a conversation about salt. We know that salt was a valuable commodity in Jesus' day. Salt was often used to pay wages for a person's work. Again, Cheryl Lindsay writes this as part of her observation. She asks, what does it mean to be salted? The other day, she wrote, I made pasta and I almost forgot to add the salt to the water. As a cook, I know that what salt does to food that I prepare. It changes the boiling point of water. It has a flavor all of its own, but it also enhances the flavor of other food. Salt, when used in sufficient quantities, will preserve some foods. At the same time, excessive amounts of salt will make some meals inedible. Too much salt may lead to health challenges. Too little salt presents other problems. Salt is naturally occurring in different forms, but has distinct characteristics that make it instantly recognizable. Jesus reminds us that everyone will be salted with fire, just as virtually all food contains some level of salt. We humans are seasoned by the circumstances and situations of our lives. Jesus reminds us that salt is good. Being salted is a good thing. It can happen even in trying and difficult times. You see, Queen Esther was salted when she confronted her husband, the king. She risked it all and her safety for her people. We've been given the ability through the gift of Christ to bring about change and to be carriers of peace. We have salt, and that's good. Recently, I'm sure that you've heard about some very wealthy people venturing into space. And we've certainly seen and heard about their experiences and the experiences of astronauts who have traveled into space. Just the other day, I came across some observations from Henry Newman, who is a theologian and philosopher. He wrote, a number of years ago, the IMAX company made a short film called The Big Blue Planet from a space shuttle. Maybe you remember seeing it? As Nolan continues, the film is shown on a huge concave screen with sounds coming from all sides. The viewers feel as if they are, in fact, sitting in a space shuttle. The most remarkable part of the film is that it allows us to see what astronauts see, our own planet. As As we look at our Earth, we realize that the beautiful blue ball moving through the universe is our own home. As we look at that beautiful, majestic blue planet as our home, we suddenly have a completely new understanding of the world. Our world includes all people from all the continents, of all colors, religions, races, and ages. Seen from space, the many differences among people that cause hatred, violence, war, oppression, starvation, and mutual destruction seem ridiculous. From the distance of space, it is crystal clear that we have the same home. Seeing the blue planet from a distance, we can say we are indeed brothers and sisters, as Jesus has told us. We are all born as fragile beings. We need each other and our home earth to live well. Now it concludes with this. The distant view of our home may make it possible for us to live with a deeper knowledge of being children of one God and brothers and sisters of each other, and to truly care. Next Sunday, we will participate in World Communion Sunday. It's the day that Christians all around the world share a meal together. It's the meal that Christ offers freely and generously to all people who are hungry for God and desire to be filled with God's abundant mercy and overwhelming love. It's the table where all people from near and far, from all over the big blue planet Earth, will be gathered to be welcomed by Christ and to be nourished by the food that is Christ given to us. May we come to our table next Sunday with joy and gratitude, with hope and trust, with peace and love for all of God's people. Let us boldly declare that all God's children are truly one of us. Amen. sure you've all heard about the passing of Gary Cole. I ask that you keep Gary and especially his family in your thoughts and prayers in the coming days and weeks. And I also ask that you continue to keep Dorothy Colcott in your thoughts and prayers as well, as she continues to struggle with health issues. Are there other concerns to be lifted up this morning? Let us come to God in prayer. God of courage, you gave Esther the strength to speak out and the wisdom to save her people. Help us to believe that you are present and active in the world today, and that your grace surrounds all people. Holy One, you awaken love in our midst, calling us to a spirit of grace and generosity. We give thanks for your gift of love. Oh God, you surround us with diversity, calling us into a spirit of compassion and acceptance. We give thanks for your gift of diversity. God, you reveal beauty in each day, calling us into a spirit of wonder and gratitude. We give thanks for your gift of beauty. You embrace each one of us as your own, calling us into a spirit of courage and confidence. We give thanks for your gift of embrace. Oh God, you have given us many gifts. Our hearts are full, our spirits are grateful. We give thanks for your abundant gifts. Loving God, you listen to us with tenderness, calling us into the spirit of prayer. We come to you now, each in our own way, with our own private thoughts, prayers, and meditations. Hear us, listening God. God of love, we find gratitude in the knowledge that you are encouraging us. You challenge us to walk a path that doesn't destroy, that gives life to us, to our community, and to our world. Guide us away from preoccupation with differences and bring bright into our way of life. Love us into being, oh God. And now we offer up to you this prayer that your Son, our Christ, has taught us to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread,